The principal investigated a sexting incident, so the police charged him with possessing child porn. Did you read it?
Yeah,
okay.
of course.
So basically what happened...
This is a weird...
This guy's facing 12 years in prison, despite the fact he was doing his job at a school administrator. And essentially what happened was... There was this, all the parents kind of came up to him and they were like, we think our kids are sexting or whatever. And it's like, 14-year-olds and stuff like that. And the teacher went on Snapchat and then saw that the guy was sexting, took a picture of it with the teacher's phone to like prove it. And then he uploaded it onto the school servers and then also had it on his phone. And then they go, he failed to delete the files from his work cell phone. And now... for his attempts to investigate the situation, he's been levied with child porn charges and accused of obstructing a police investigation. And the take that people were sort of saying was, even the parents were like, no, we asked him to go do this. Like he was investigating something. Yeah. We asked him. He's the administrator. Like he was trying to help us. We didn't want our kids doing all this at school. But to me, I was like, I kind of don't buy it.
There's something really, there's something kind of fishy in the whole thing going on because the article, it says he took a tip from an anonymous app that underage students were sexting explicit images to each other on Snapchat in April during the last school year. And they said to collect evidence, he took screenshots of the images.
Yes.
So I don't understand. How did he get into these kids' Snapchat?
He had them there.
So he's like, some kids are sexting, and then
he's like busted.
He goes busted, and they're like, shh. That makes no sense. Like, because like Snapchat's like they disappear like the moment.
Well, I didn't necessarily think there was anything weird about like the story that happened because that's the official story from the police too, okay. Right? But to me, it was like, okay, this is what I was arguing. If someone said to you, right? Like you work at somewhere, right? And they're like, hey, these kids, I think these like 13-year-olds are sending each other nudes. Can you
I'll be like, that's none of my goddamn business.
Yeah, that's to me. I'd be like, are you out of your fucking mind?
I'd be like, honestly, if you parents want to deal with this and be parents, go for it. You're like, I don't know why my job as a fucking like gym teacher, I have to now bust these sexting rings.
That's what, to me, I would be like, are you out of your fucking mind?
Yeah. The fact that this guy even just put himself in this position and then like, this is not your...
So the whole selling point...
That's chick stuff at minimum. You go like, get a female teacher on this.
1,000%. So the idea that this guy, like, maybe I guess they're selling like he's just so dumb that like at no point, when you go, in this, especially now, you're like, I would be like, if I worked at a school and it was like, a teacher so much as like a girl like that was 13 like touched me, you'd be like, whoa. You keep your like, you know what I mean? I'd be so worried about that. It's like if you're hitting on your boss, right? Like you might do it, but you'd be very like, I know this is like potentially gonna go really bad.
Yeah.
Like at no point where you like, yo, this is gonna fucking ruin my life. You have photos of your students on your phone and
nude photos, and you're just like,
none of your like bells went off of like, I'm gonna be fucking in trouble here.
Yeah, like I should have probably.
And then he forgot to delete them.
Not looking good. Not looking good for this guy.
I'd be like, nice.
But
try,
also,
pal.
I don't just that the whole thing doesn't really make sense to me.
But it seems like the narrative from the school, from the parents, and everyone.
Who's snitching? Because they have this thing called the Safe to Tell Tip app. So it's like there's an app. So who's like, some kid is like, hey, my students, my friends are all sexting each other. Teacher, just so you know, the students are sexting. You're like, okay.
That is strange.
Like you got a tip about sexting? And
I know.
I'd be like, I don't know, fucking not my business.
You go, that's something I'm staying. I'm not touching that with a 12.
That's like straight up. You go like, okay, send that to the police and let them investigate. I always thought that must be like maybe creepy job, one of the worst jobs is the dude.
Or the best, depending on who you are.
Well,
right?
But the guy at the police department who's like has to look at the hard drives when they arrest people to confirm, and you're like,
I love that that is the most suspect job of all time.
But that's somebody's job.
I know, but like, I feel like that's one of those jobs that you have to be real careful about. But it's like the same with like, Boy Scout leaders or whatever, where there's such a high prevalence of, because if you are a creep, that's what job you want. So you got to vet them like crazy.
Well,
right?
they are. You're vetted if you become a police officer, but like I can't imagine. I know, but it's like one of those things where like, do you think they draw straws? Like, all right, everybody, who's got to check these hard drives?
I'll tell you what. If you're like, hey, who wants to do this job, and one guy's like, me, you're like, not you. Like, you can't give it to the guy. Yeah, you can't give it to the guy who wants it.
No.
You have to.
But then the guy who really wants it knows that. So then he's probably like, not me. I'd hate to do that.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And you go, well, that's suspicious too. But it's just crazy that the wide variety of jobs that people have in the world is one guy's job is to just basically watch child pornography.
Just to make sure it's legit. Make sure it's the real deal.
The real deal, so that he can put people in prison, which is a good thing. But like that step, like I guess
the judge has to see it too.
I guess, yeah.
Maybe they blur it out, but then someone has to be the blurrer. So then another guy watching it.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
It's such a bad job.
Worst job.
You just see that guy pouring his coffee, like going in there.
He's just like, just do it for the kids.
They go,
what do you mean you do it for the kids? He goes, no, like I do it for the kids.
Yeah. I'm doing it to stop this from happening again.
For kids.
Oh boy, we got another truckload of hard drives. We're going to need you to work overtime today. That job would mess you up a little bit too.
For sure. I mean,
unless you like it.
I guess there's a million jobs like that. Like we have a friend of ours who's like a firefighter, and I remember asking him, like, he's like, yeah, half my job is just literally just cleaning up bodies off of the fucking highway.
I got a fucking news for you, pal. Your firefighter friend's lying to you. 99% of his job is watching TV and working out.
No, I know that.
Once
but I'm saying,
a year.
No, because they're first responders. They're
How
that's
many
the thing.
bodies are they cleaning? One a year?
Are you kidding?
How many bodies are there?
There's car accidents every day.
That people die?
Fuck yeah, man. It's like the most common cause of death. It's like car accidents.
Okay, so how many firefighters are? I'd say your buddy, how many bodies did he clean personally in his life?
I'm sure a lot. Dude, they're the first responders. They get there before the ambulances do, because there's more fire stations than medics or whatever.
I'll tell you what,
because of the fire risk.
If I was talking to a firefighter and they were like, just every day I'm just cleaning up dead bodies, I'd be like,
not
how
every
many this
day.
year?
Not every
like,
day.
Okay, one this year.
Not every day, but I'm like, no, it's way more than one. You're seeing dead bodies way more than once a year.
Really?
Fuck yeah, man. Every car accident is like, every fatal car accident, which are probably happening, like, I mean, think about it in Toronto.
Yeah, you think I'm
every
wrong
day,
with this?
every day there's a fatal car accident in Toronto. Every single day.
Because I know some firefighters.
Yeah.
And I feel like,
I guess if you're a small town firefighter, no. But if you're in Toronto, yeah, like,
I mean, there's more firefighters than people that die every year.
Probably.
Okay, so that's
but a bunch of them show up.
At most, one a person.
But I'm saying a bunch of them show up.
Well,
to the scene.
yeah,
the whole car shows up.
Yeah, okay, fine.
I don't know. I'm not saying it's every day, but it's not once a year.
Sure.
But I'm saying the stuff that they have to see, like, grab it.
You become a little desensitized to that. I don't know how you become desensitized to just child porn, where it's just like, another day, another dollar.
That's dark.
That's and dark, it's almost weirder if they spread it around, like where they go, everyone has to do a shift on this. Like, you know what I mean? It's probably better that they're like, one guy has to do this, so as opposed to us all having to go watch a little bit.
And it's like, is it like
you have to do a shift? Hey, you mind covering my 6
Is it like
o'clock?
a punishment? Like, remember like on the show The Shield, where like he gets like
you're on desk duty.
Desk duty. You're like on fucking CP duty. You're like,
it's so messed up.
I know.
Do you think do they give it to girls mostly, do you think?
I don't know. Does that make it better?
There should have to be like a eunuch. There's a
eunuch.
There's like
they chemically castrate you before that job. You go, just so you know, if you want to do this, we got to chemically castrate you.
Like there's a couple of eunuchs at every police force. Their whole thing is they're on like the CP duty. Or maybe they have like a kid that works at the police station.
That would be the ideal scenario, is a kid's doing it.
Yeah, you have a kid that works at the police station that does it.
Like take your kid to work day every day.
Well, that would be a weird thing, because also...
Like a Doogie Howser scenario.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, where it's like, this kid's the best, and he's luckily a kid.
But then he starts getting old and starts getting a little creepy.
Well, once he turns 18, then you're like, okay, no more to that.
But also... it's one of those things where with the CP stuff, because those guys use their testimonies, then go to court or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So it is kind of funny to think that like that guy could just be lying. Like he watched it and it was just nothing on there, and he was like, "Yeah, it was CP," and you just have to take his word for it because no one else watches it. Or maybe they have two people that have to watch it.
They probably show it in court and stuff.
You know what? That is better if you, but also weird to just sit there with someone and watch it. I think I'd rather watch it without someone.
Like, what's like, could you grab like is it weird if you're like, hey, I'm just going to grab something to eat and I'll be back, and like you bring food back and you're like eating like.
You can't be eating.
You know what I mean? Like, can you eat?
Yeah, but the etiquette's weird. Do you have to just like, are you trying to like be performative like the whole time you're sitting there with the person? You have to be like, oh.
Probably. I mean.
Like, and one guy's pouring it on a little too thick, like, ew.
Yeah.
Like, if I was sitting there with you and we're watching it, I would be like, gross. And if you didn't say anything, I'd be like, don't you think it's gross?
Yeah, what, you don't think it's gross? And I'm like, no.
I
do.
You have to be like pretending to puke the whole time.
Yeah, you're like watching the other guy, like just trying to outdo them.
You're both being.
And you know you're getting watched by someone on a fucking closed circuit.
You're looking at the camera like, you're just doing that for like 4 hours
what
straight.
A fucking horrible job.
Because you definitely wouldn't want to just sit there.
Where was that episode of Dirty Jobs?
How did that not be a Dirty Jobs episode?
The cops who have to watch child pornography.
So anyways, this guy's basically taking on that job, you know.
Yeah, this guy's, well, he's a little bit of a keener. This is the problem.
Exactly. Either he's like the biggest keener in the history of keener. He's either the biggest keener in the history of the world or a creep.
Yeah. I mean, again,
they're selling that he's a keener.
I'm not buying that you. Oh, whoops! I forgot to delete those from my phone.
Forgetting to delete it, I didn't believe that much either.
And how dumb are you to get caught at that point? I don't know. There's just. Do you see the? Yeah, there's just. People are so stupid.
So the real common sentiment seems to be on this guy's side that he's just dumb, which I guess is possible, but like, yeah, just.
But also, like, how many
Ned Flanders type, where it was like, you know, like that's who they're painting him as, like Ned Flanders.
You know what the problem with these laws is that they don't really like allow for leeway because they just don't want to start getting into gray area stuff. Like, you know, there's no shortage of stories where there's like a 20-year-old who has like photos of his phone from when he was 17, but then he didn't delete them, and then now you're just like, yeah, well, now you're
those
20.
guys never usually get in that much trouble.
No, but I've seen stories of like people who actually went to prison and shit for
no, but the prison usually comes like, I'm sure there's a million people that are like young people sending each other nudes or whatever.
There was like some football player I remember in Florida.
I'm not saying it never happens, but when you like generally anything like that, I'm sure 90% of the time they hear about it and they just what gets them into trouble is if they send it to someone else. Right. Now you're distributing.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
How'd this guy get busted? He wasn't sending it around.
Well, he's out there at the police station trying to make the bust, and he's like, guys, he
goes, guys, look, I got this. You go, yo, what are you doing, man?
That's what happened. By the way,
he puts his phone out, goes, look, and just go click. Goes, what? Yeah. Dude, you're showing us child porn.
He shows up to the thing and he was like, look at all these child porn these guys have. I've been fucking collecting it. And they go, okay, well, now you're going to jail. Yeah. That's kind of what happened.
You're a teacher. You're not
he literally brought the cops to his house and he's got the yarn and everything on the wall with all the child porn printed out on his wall. So that's kind of what happened to this guy.
Fucked up.
You're an idiot. At the very least, it's one of those things where you go, it's like possession is the 9/10 of the law or whatever. And you're just like, well, I just found all this stuff. And you're like, it almost doesn't matter how dumb you are. That's the law.
Yeah. Of course.
It was like, yeah, pal. But I'm on the side of, I have a hard time believing anyone I know would be stupid enough to ever like try to get a 14-year-old girl's nude on your phone to bust them.
Yeah, that's insane. Like, who do you bust them to? Their parents? You go, hey, just so you know.
Here, look.
Yeah, hey, look, I have nudes of your daughter. She's been sending them to her other classmates. And you're like, why do you have
No, the parents apparently tasked him with this.
Oh, well, that's even worse. The guy's
apparently
like,
the parents set him up.
This guy's just fucking
crazy.
Cursed, man.